Hello, my friends. Welcome to our show. Today we discuss about getting subscribers to your newsletter, and we can touch many other topics, including web development. And I'm so excited to discuss this topic with Sébastien Lorber. How are you?
I'm fine, and you? Thanks for having me.
Big pleasure. Love learning, love getting new insights, ideas. Before we start, just tell more about your background, experience, and something that you wanna share on this podcast.
So my background is that I am a software developer, and I've been trying to increase my authority in the React ecosystem, mostly to be able to sell consulting as a freelancer. And maybe 3 years ago, I started to post daily on LinkedIn, and then created a newsletter. And this was not really the plan initially, but now the newsletter is profitable with sponsors. It's still not very profitable because I still spend a lot of time on it for a relatively small part of my income, but it's still a decent part now of how I earn a living daily. So
Nice, nice. I think you know your time will come and will be profitable with consistency, many other things because you share value and share you can lead newsletters or any other marketing channels to a new level. Uh, can you tell about your newsletter? What kind of news can you share or newsletter and your methods of getting new subscribers?
So the newsletter is about React.js, which is the technology from Facebook. One of the among the developers, it's one of the fastest growing technology of the maybe the decade, because now everybody use it, and it's very popular, and it's still growing. So I think maybe the peak is not reached yet. And my newsletter is about curation. So I try to pick the most interesting links of this ecosystem every week, and send a curation and some insight and comments on each of these links. The newsletter is targeting more senior, experienced developer than junior. So this is not about um, teaching the basics on how to learn this technology, but more like I am an experienced developer in this technology already, that I already know, and I need to keep up with the ecosystem because it's moving really fast, and there are a lot of news every week, and you can't follow everything if you don't spend maybe one day full time per week on Twitter. So the value proposition of the newsletter is that I do that for you, and then you just have to read a summary of what everything happened. And also I try to filter everything that is, there's a lot of content nowadays that is not very quality. It's mostly created for SEO reasons. You want to do some keyword analysis, and you publish a lot of blog posts, but nobody likes these blog posts anymore because the subjects are not very interesting, and everybody already discussed these topics. So um, I try to really filter to only include unique content in the newsletter, so that readers really like what they found in it.
Mhm. Can you tell how you get all this news because you said many things are coming each week. It's hard to get all of them. And for example, in SEO field, I'm not trying to cover all news. It's literally impossible. Or I can spend all my time just taking all this news, but I have different approach because many things are changing all the time. Google is
Yeah.
developing, the
Mm.
system updating, and I think today it's better to pay attention to a human being, not search engines, not algorithms, non updates, because now all systems, platforms, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, they think how to satisfy users' intent. So if you can satisfy user intent, you can satisfy algorithms. It's simple today. Tell more about news in development. I know many things are coming, but how you find news and how you choose priorities or important news that it's better to share on your newsletter?
Yeah, so I have multiple ways to find the news. And my main workflow is on Twitter because all many developers are on Twitter already, and when something happens, it's here that it happens first somehow. So I have a Twitter list of maybe 2,000, 2,000 developers in that list that I created over time. And every time I find someone that looks interesting and that has a nice, somehow a high signal to noise ratio, I try to add him to the list. And then every week I have some Twitter filters that says, uh, um, take all the tweets of the people from that list, only the links, only the tweets that have an external link, and only the tweets that have 5 retweets. So somehow I filter the things that I don't care much about or things that are too noisy, and I try to keep the tweets that worked well with a minimum number of tweets, and the tweets with an external link, which are generally something related to an announcement with a blog post or a release or something like that that is meaningful for my newsletter. And I filter by chronological order and then just unroll for the 7 days of the week, one after the other. So this is a really long and painful process because, somehow I have to read to scroll a Twitter feed for maybe 4 hours per week to find the
Mhm.
content. So this is really painful for me because there, despite my filters, there is still a lot of noise. You see cat videos, you see memes, you see crypto bullshit and whatever. And last week, for example, it was all about ChatGPT. Maybe you heard about this AI that is getting really popular these few days. So I have to filter through all this noise that is not relevant to my newsletter, and maybe I pick one tweet per 100, maybe 1% of the tweets. I keep them for the newsletter, and then I save them to Pocket, or eventually I paste them to some text file that I will process later and include in the newsletter, or maybe a newsletter draft. I put the tweet in the newsletter draft, and then once I have collected all the tweets for the 7 days, I will edit the newsletter with the tweets that I found to create something more editorial. Um, so this is my main workflow, but I have also some other workflows. For example, I have some RSS feeds for the developers that are not on Twitter, but I found them interesting. Some have a blog with an RSS feed, so I can follow what they publish. And also, I'm subscribed to basically every existing newsletter in my ecosystem, and also some things that are not in my ecosystem because I want to stay open-minded and try to understand what is happening in related ecosystems, but not directly the React.js ecosystem. And so I read the other newsletters and try to use them as a fallback in case my Twitter and RSS workflow didn't catch some important articles. And it's also a way to discover new authors that I wouldn't have found myself, for example, and then add them back to the Twitter list so that next time I will be able to see what they publish. Because if you are not in my list, I don't see you. So I have to find you through another way so that I can then add you to the list and see you the next time. So this is
Mhm.
basically the way I work.
Yeah, got it. It's hard work. Yeah, I
Yeah.
can feel it, when I consume a lot of tweets. And I know you need to have experience to understand what kind of value you can get, what it's better to filter out, because many things are controversial. We don't know. Something is valuable, something is less valuable, something is nonsense, as you mentioned, like crypto.
Yeah.
Um, by the way, for me, I like crypto trading. It's a very risky game. I don't recommend to anyone without experience to jump on this field. But if you have experience, By the way, I don't have experience. I cooperate with some experts, who can predict the future. I don't know how they can do it. For me, it's a big secret, But when they share data, of course, I can lose, I can win, but in most cases, I get more money than I invest. But I don't want to recommend anyone with this field. Just make your choice, read about these experts, and choose someone that you like more. Yeah, but let's get back to the Twitter. Can you tell, for example, how do you choose awesome information, valuable information? I like your approach because I use something the same by reading blogs. I have website feedly.com where I can add all my living blogs there, RSS, to get all this news in one feed. Then I check out this feed and find something interesting for me. Now, then I can read if I have time, of course. And I found many bloggers are lazy to share all this information on social media. They can submit just link on social media, that's it. But if you share a story, if you convert their thoughts on suitable, interesting format, you can get high engagement on social media. But you use quite different approach. You consume tweets, find something interesting, and can submit your newsletter. Tell about your methods to filter out and find valuable information to your subscribers.
Sorry, I'm not sure. What is the question exactly?
The question, how do you choose priorities? For example, you consume tweets from 2,000 people, a lot. So
Yeah.
how do you know that it's important information to your subscribers and just to filter out
Okay,
less
yeah.
necessary? Yeah. Mhm.
First, it's about React, which is what I talk about. So this is the
Mhm.
first filter because there are a lot of things that are totally unrelated. And also, as I added the persons one by one to my list, then somehow I know that the content of these persons will be great because they wrote something interesting in the past. So this is another way to filter. And then I read the content. So um, as I've been in this industry for maybe 9 years now, I think. Yeah. So I've been using React for 9 years today, and so I know if an information is something interesting for the audience or not, because if it's interesting for me, it's likely to be interesting for others because I try to be on the cutting edge of this technology, and others are trying to do the same, and I try to help them being aware of every important new things. And so there are multiple kind of news. For example, there are some blog posts that are more generic, like how to do something with this technology. I try to read the content and only include it if it's a meaningful blog post on a topic that has never been presented before, or if it's a topic that has been presented before. I try to include only the blog posts that have an outstanding presentation. For example, some people create interactive articles, so you can play with the article, and it's like an application inside the blog post. So this kind of article, I try to include them because the author did a better effort to do something great and something that people will like to read. And in general, I prefer also to include people that create their own blog instead of using platforms like Medium because, in the dev industry, on the platforms like Medium and things like that, the content is lower quality. I think the fact that it's so easy to get started and create some articles also prevent people from creating more qualitative content. And I try to focus. I prefer to include a custom blog that some developer was passionate about building, and trying to create a great reading experience. So I think it's a good way to reward the effort of the blogger to create his own platform distribute content.
Mhm.
And yeah, for example, Medium, I don't really like the platform because now you have a paywall and things like that. So this is really annoying. And even the way they format code blocks for developers, for example, it's not very user friendly. So this is not the platform I like to include content from. And otherwise, the other kind of news that I include are, for example, there's some research in a field, and I try to show what's the progress on this research so that people know what is happening, who is working on what exactly. Even if it's not ready, you can expect it to maybe come in the next month. And there are also release. For example, if there is a technical project that has a new major version or something like that, I try to include that in the newsletter.
Yeah, I got it. I'm curious about one interesting question that many marketers have. For example, marketers cooperate with salespeople, designers, copywriters, project managers, and web developers. Can you tell about how to increase or improve cooperation between marketers and web developers, because marketers need high quality content, and sometimes it's hard to create without web developers. So can you share from your experience how to tell or explain or anything related to that to web developers that we need to create it, and how to improve cooperation and to understand each other, and like to work as a cohesive team from your experience?
I don't know really, but I think these days there are a lot of tech companies that have DevRels. Somehow I think it's developer relationship or something, the meaning. And it's a job where you are in the middle of developer and marketer. So somehow you create demos and webinars and videos and social media posts and things like that. So I think this is how companies solve this problem, but I don't really have the experience on this because I'm not trying really to sell a SaaS product or something like that. I'm just trying to sell something that is free. And if you subscribe, normally you will get value. So this is not the same problem as selling a SaaS that is expensive every month, that you have to convince your boss to buy it and something like that. So
Yeah,
I can't
got
really
it.
tell how to improve the collaboration, but I think having developers that are good at marketing is a good way to improve things.
Okay, got it. Seb, I have the question about can you tell how to find good web developers? Because I found it's hard. It's hard to find web developers who can lead your project in the right
Yeah.
direction to get high results. Because I don't want to criticize the industry, because we have many mediocre marketers, ACOs. I think on all occupation we have some people who have no enough experience to go ahead. But can you tell how to find that web developers are good enough for your project? Because sometimes it's terrible when you waste 6 months without results, but getting this promising. From your experience, if you can tell how to choose before cooperation, it will be great, for my audience.
Honestly, I think everyone and even developers wonder how to evaluate someone. It's a big question in the industry, and there's no silver bullet. And I honestly I don't know what to answer because this is a very complicated topic, and every company has a different way to interview candidates. I think the only way to interview candidates is maybe to somehow to give an assignment that looks like the job that the candidate will do on the real job, because there's a lot of whiteboard interviews where you stress the candidate trying to ask him to create a complex algorithm that he will never have to create on his daily job. So this is for me a mistake, and for a lot of people too. Otherwise, I don't know. I think you have somehow to test him, not based on how much he knows by heart some systems that he may not have a lot of experience on, but rather to see if he is flexible, he can learn fast, and also you maybe try to take the developer on a trial and see after 2 weeks if he is able to do the job, and then you can hire him based on your first intuition, based on the first weeks of working for you. I think it's better than the interview.
Yeah. Let me quote something from your LinkedIn profile. You can help with audit, advising, help for technical decisions. Let's talk about that. For example, when I check out websites, I often see a lot of technical errors on Google Search Console, on many other validator tools. And I found that many successful websites in the top 10 results on Google, or websites that get good traffic, they have these technical errors as well. So it's hard to fix anything to get like 100% without any technical errors. But you can help with audit. Can you tell how to choose priorities, how to choose critical errors that it's a must have to fix, and I don't know, or skip the rest, because for example, if I get 100 mistakes, I tell my developers, please fix all of them. I need green line. I wanna get the best technical optimization ever, better than Amazon has. But in reality, it's hard. But it's important to choose priorities. And I remember once I asked one of my clients, I shared my audit with technical errors and asked him, please fix. After, I don't remember exactly, after 2 weeks, he replied to me. He fixed alt text on pages about us, about contact page. But we are not going to rank these pages. We don't need them in the top 10 results. So it's not critical. And I think today, when CEOs or I don't know, any professionals, when they provide a list of errors, they usually get like around 40% are fixed. Most of them people can't do it, but that's okay. I think you can't fix anything, but you can choose priorities. You can choose critical errors and fix them instead of fixing anything. Can you tell about your methods? How do you provide audit, and what is the main difference between let's imagine other audits that we have today?
I'm not a developer focusing on SEO, so it's a bit hard to answer
Yeah,
for
that's
me.
okay.
But I have no idea what kind of errors you talk about. I mean, I
Site
know how
speed,
to.
bug testing, technical errors,
Yeah, but
more related.
there are technical errors that are related to SEO, and there are technical errors that are just bug that prevents the user from buying a product, and those things are two very different things. I mean, I know how to handle technical SEO, but I have no idea, for example, what kind of errors. The marketers often use tools like WordPress and Wix and things like that, and I have absolutely no idea how these seed builders produce SEO errors. From my side, I'm only working on tailor-made sites that I create myself, not using any platform. So this is a whole different thing that what marketers are used to by using a platform where they can click on a few buttons and create a website. This is a totally different job. But I know about technical SEO. And for example, I care about things. Actually, outside my newsletter, I'm working for Facebook on a tool called Docusaurus, which is a static site generator to create documentation websites. and it's been used by Facebook, LinkedIn, Microsoft, Shopify, and many other platforms like that to create their internal and external documentation. So I know technical SEO because for their technical documentation that are based on the tool I work on, it's important to have good SEO. So I care about things like the metadata of the page and also other things, for example, related to the accessibility, the speed of the page also, which is important for having a good ranking. And there are a lot of other technical headers that I know about, for example, how to handle internationalization of your documentation website. There are some headers like href long and things like that that you can set up. Honestly, I don't know what is relevant for your question. I can go into some details, but maybe it's not the same thing that I have to care about than what your audience is caring about. So not sure it's relevant to enter into many details.
Okay, got it. Can you tell about your methods of training, coaching, and code review? Yeah, I see on your LinkedIn profile you share about that. So can you tell how to train web developers or review codes on websites?
My LinkedIn profile is not really up to date for the last 2 years. I don't really do this consulting activity anymore because I'm working for Facebook on this documentation tool. So I mean, code review, it's a developer thing. We have a platform called GitHub where we send pull requests, which is somehow a request to merge a code change to a code base, and we can see the difference, what the developer wants to change, and then we can comment on the request and say this code is not correct, and eventually the developer will change things, and once we think the changes are good, we press a button and then it's added to the main code base. So this is how most developers work today. We have this kind of workflow where we can see the diff but of a code change, and we comment on them and approve or reject it.
Okay, I have the final question. Can you tell common mistakes that React developers still do, and your way? I mean, like how to find a much better way without doing these mistakes.
The common mistakes that React developers do. I think they don't use the use effect hook very well. This is a quite misunderstood hook and the source of a lot of confusion. So this is a bit complicated to explain, I think, to someone that is not technical. So if you don't know the hook, but I think it's the main source of trouble for React developers today. So this, yeah, I don't know how to explain this, but
Okay, so don't worry about that. Thank you for your time, for sharing all your valuable insights. Tell our audience how they can reach out to you, learn more about you, subscribe to your newsletter.
Thank you.
I mean, the best way to follow you on Twitter, yes? Am I correct?
Yeah, or the newsletter this week in react.com. You can read me weekly if you want.
Okay, guys, you can find the link to newsletter in the description below. Listen us on Apple, Google, Spotify. Thanks again for your time. A big pleasure. I understand that you have quite different approach, but it's still valuable for people who pay attention to development and React. Okay, guys, love you. See you.